Hello class. Tonight we are going to talk about Chapter 2, which is aligning training with strategy. And as we discussed so many times, strategy is the most important thing in any organization because, as we know, strategy is what drives the mission. So essentially, when we do strategic planning, we're talking about a proactive strategy versus a reactive strategy. Ideally, we want to go in the direction of proactive strategy, and that focuses on setting longer-term goals. Now, in order for training to be effective, we need to settle on longer-term goals that are driven by small-term achievements. So, for example, if you were to look at PowerPoint 2-1, okay, it basically talks about strategy, tactics, and objectives. And when we talk about strategy tactics, okay, we are essentially dealing with an effective strategic plan that is going to be thinking a higher level of the organization, more long-term. So we have to identify both the internal and external environments to do a true strategic plan. Okay? Because if we don't, we're not going to be able to get the effective performance that we're looking for. So when you look at PowerPoint 2-1, it's basically making the link between strategy, tactics, and objectives. So the tactics are more the methodology, and we kind of touched on this a little bit last week. The objectives are how are we going to, through the methodology, achieve the strategy. So we have unit objectives, and unit objectives are objectives of the organization. The unit strategies and tactics are how we go about in the unit achieving those strategies. And employee objectives. What do the employees need in order to get to where they need to go? So if we move on to the next slide, we will be talking about the relationships that exist between what? Mission, strategy, and structure. Okay? So let's take a look at that slide. Mission, strategy, and structure. And we essentially look at that as the higher stability factors. Okay? What is the organizational design like? What are some of the structure choices that we make? Are we a more complex environment, or are we a more stable environment? When we look at organizational design, we are essentially looking at rules, policies, and procedures. Like, do we have in place all the things that we need in order to reach the long and short-term goals? Now, the book talks about two things. They talk about mechanistic design and they talk about organic design. The mechanistic design is the legitimate formal protocol that is needed in order to achieve goals and objectives. More, the organic design reflects how much flexibility does the organization have to achieve those goals. What is the culture like? And these are things that we're looking at, and the organic design is going to place more emphasis on knowledge, skills, and attitudes, what they better known as KSAs. So the stability of the environment goes more toward the organic, the complexity of the environment goes more toward the mechanistic. So then, obviously, a lot of times we're looking at the division of labor. So let's now take a look at the flow of strategic development and also the mission, strategy, and technology of the department. What is the internal? What is the external strategy? And these are some of the things that we are going to talk about tonight. So that's kind of an overview of Chapter 2, and we'll also be reviewing a little bit about Chapter 1. Okay, some of the things we talked about in Chapter 1. Last week we kind of gave an overview of everything, and we also talked about essentially what the mission and strategy do when they are looked at as the whole organizational environment, and how do we put in the proper training to satisfy reaching goals within that environment. And that would be input, process, and output. So having said those things, we will see you tonight at 5:30.